What if Egyptians dominated the world with a lost mental secret? What if I told you the pyramids weren't built with brute force, but with a mental system you can apply today? Picture yourself standing before the Great Pyramid of Giza, over 2 million stone blocks, each weighing up to 15 tons, erected with precision that defies our modern understanding. But here's what most people completely miss. The real marvel isn't in the massive stones themselves, but in the extraordinary mind that orchestrated this monumental construction project. Ancient Egyptians possessed what we call mental architecture, a sophisticated thinking system that organized not just buildings, but entire empires spanning continents. While other civilizations focused primarily on physical strength and brute force, they developed a revolutionary high-performance methodology based on 3 fundamental pillars that can still transform any personal or professional project today. The first pillar was what they called Ma'at, not just a simple concept of justice or fairness, but a comprehensive mental operating system based on cosmic balance and universal order. Every single decision, from the precise orientation of a pyramid to the complex management of empire resources, followed this mathematical and spiritual logic with unwavering consistency. It was like having a sophisticated mental GPS that guided them through the most complex challenges and decisions. This Ma'at system functioned through fractal patterns. The same organizing principle that structured a single building also structured entire cities, provinces, and the empire itself. This created a scalable methodology of mental organization that maintained order and efficiency from the smallest architectural detail to the grandest imperial strategy. It was systematic thinking at levels we're only beginning to understand today. The second pillar resided in their extraordinary capacity for temporal layered thinking. Egyptians didn't build merely for immediate needs or present circumstances. They architected systematically for eternity. Every project was conceived considering multiple generations, countless variables, and numerous future scenarios with remarkable foresight. This long-term mentality created extraordinary mental discipline that consistently transformed obstacles into opportunities for systematic growth and improvement. They developed specific techniques to train this expanded temporal vision through decades of holistic education. Young architects spent years studying not just construction techniques, but weather patterns, economic cycles, social dynamics, and astronomical movements. This comprehensive education created minds capable of thinking in multiple dimensions simultaneously with incredible precision and clarity. The third pillar, perhaps the most powerful and transformative, was their ability to synchronize thousands of people under a single unified vision, not through coercion or fear, but through a sophisticated system of shared purpose that aligned everyone from pharaoh to the humblest worker. They understood that an empire's true strength doesn't lie in material resources or military might, but in the capacity to channel human energy in perfectly coordinated ways toward common objectives. When you understand these 3 pillars and systematically apply them in your life, something extraordinary happens. Your projects stop being just tasks and transform into solid, lasting constructions that compound over time. Write architect in the comments if you're ready to discover how to apply these ancient pillars in your own high-performance journey. How did Egyptian scribes develop history's first high-performance system? There's a fascinating mystery that few historians properly address. How did a civilization successfully maintain perfect records, efficiently administer continental empire resources, and coordinate colossal projects without computers, internet, or anything beyond organized human intelligence? The answer lies in what we've discovered to be history's first comprehensive high-performance management system. Egyptian scribes weren't just writers or bureaucrats shuffling papers. They were the true architects of imperial efficiency, masters of a mental science that combined visual organization, associative memory, and systematic execution in ways that were absolutely revolutionary for their time and impressive even by today's standards. They developed what we can call hieroglyphic productivity methodology, a sophisticated system operating through interconnected layers of information and coordinated action. First, They created the concept of visual mental maps literally thousands of years before Tony Buzan popularized this technique in our modern world. Each hieroglyph didn't represent just an isolated word or simple concept, but an entire complex chain of associations, processes, and neural connections. When an experienced scribe drew the symbol of a bird, he wasn't merely writing bird, he was activating a comprehensive mental network of related information including direction, movement patterns, timing, resource requirements, logistical implications, and symbolic connections. It functioned like an ultra-efficient cognitive shortcut that dramatically accelerated the processing of complex information sets. An expert scribe could process and organize monumental quantities of administrative data with speed and precision that would impress even modern analysts equipped with advanced digital technology. Second, they developed conscious repetition discipline, a technique fundamentally different from the mechanical repetition we know today. They practiced what modern neuroscience calls deliberate practice, with levels of sophistication that remain impressive today. Every writing movement, every mathematical calculation, every administrative decision was executed with total intention and complete awareness. This rigorous mental discipline created extraordinary precision that reflected in absolutely everything from monument construction to detailed management of agricultural harvests across the entire empire. Third, they implemented intelligent redundancy systems, a methodology where all important information was recorded in multiple formats and strategic locations, but never in simply repetitive ways. Each copy added a different layer of analysis, perspective, or contextual interpretation to the information. This created not just informational security, but truly multidimensional understanding of each problem, project, and strategic decision. It was like having multiple specialists simultaneously analyzing each situation from complementary angles, creating comprehensive understanding impossible through single perspectives. The most impressive aspect is that they applied these principles at massive scale. A royal scribe coordinated hundreds of specialized scribes, each expert in different aspects of empire management, functioning like a perfectly synchronized human neural network. Write scribe in the comments if you recognize the power of organized mental systems in your own personal evolution. Why did Karnak engineers know more about project management than most modern CEOs? I'm about to tell you something that will completely transform your perspective on management, leadership, and execution of complex projects. The Karnak temple complex wasn't built in mere decades, as most people assume. It was a continuous project that lasted over 1,500 uninterrupted years. Imagine the staggering complexity: more than 60 consecutive generations of engineers, architects, and skilled workers laboring on a single monumental project while maintaining absolutely impeccable quality standards and unified strategic vision. How was this humanly possible without modern communication systems, digital technology, or any tools we consider essential today for coordinating much smaller and simpler projects? The answer lies in what we've discovered to be antiquity's most sophisticated and efficient project management system. Egyptian engineers developed what we now recognize as perpetual construction methodology, organizational and strategic principles that make most modern corporate methods appear primitive and inefficient by direct comparison. First revolutionary principle: integrated living documentation. Every strategically placed stone, every architectural modification, every hard-learned lesson was recorded not just on fragile papyrus scrolls, but carved permanently into the physical structures themselves. Karnak's massive walls contain a complete three-dimensional instruction manual that remains perfectly readable and usable today. 3,000 years later, they literally transformed the project itself into its primary documentation, creating an absolutely self-sustaining system for preserving and transmitting technical knowledge across centuries. Second principle: overlapping temporal leadership layers. Chief engineers didn't think merely about what to build in the immediate present, but fundamentally about how to methodically prepare the next generation of builders to continue construction with the same level of excellence and strategic vision. Each individual project included sophisticated training and professional development elements completely integrated into the productive process. It was as if each construction simultaneously served as a tangible result and an advanced practical school for future specialized builders. Third principle: program structural flexibility. Karnak was ingeniously designed to grow and adapt organically over centuries, while always maintaining absolute architectural harmony and aesthetic coherence. They created a brilliant system allowing constant innovation and creative contributions without ever losing visual, functional, or symbolic coherence. Each new pharaoh could add their unique personal contribution without destroying or compromising the meticulous work of previous generations. Fourth principle: cyclical resource management synchronization. They understood that resources are naturally limited and cyclical. They developed sophisticated planning systems considering not just Nile flood patterns, but long-term economic cycles, political changes, and social transformations. Each construction phase was precisely synchronized with natural resource availability, seasonal labor patterns, and broader imperial priorities. This created sustainable building practices that strengthened rather than depleted the empire's capabilities over time. Modern project management often focuses on short-term deliverables and quarterly results. Egyptian methodology thought in centuries and millennia, creating solutions that systematically strengthened over time rather than degraded. Write Karnak in the comments if you're ready to apply pharaonic-level project management principles to your own life. What if Pharaoh's real secret wasn't gold, but mental discipline architecture? Here's a historical truth that will blow your mind and transform your understanding of leadership, power, and lasting success. History's most powerful and influential pharaohs weren't necessarily the richest in gold or physically strongest. They mastered something infinitely more powerful and transformative: mental discipline architecture. And this revolutionary system can be completely decoded and applied by anyone today. Tutankhamun ruled for only 9 years, but left a cultural and historical legacy that resonates powerfully across millennia. Ramesses II reigned for an impressive 66 years and built more lasting monuments than any other pharaoh in history. What these extraordinary leaders had in common wasn't luck, privileged birth, or unlimited resources. It was a high-performance mental system that made them practically invincible against any challenge. The system functioned through 4 deeply integrated and mutually reinforcing elements. First, strategic active contemplation discipline. Every dawn, religiously, before any important administrative decision, pharaohs practiced an elaborate mental alignment ritual combining deep meditation, detailed visualization of desired outcomes, and systematic strategic analysis. This wasn't empty mysticism or primitive superstition, it was precision-applied neuroscience thousands of years before we scientifically understood how the human brain actually functions and processes complex information. Second, systematic scaled decision methodology. No important decision was ever made impulsively or based solely on momentary emotion. They developed a rigorous, tested process involving detailed consultation with the most experienced advisors, careful analysis of relevant historical precedents, mental simulation of multiple possible scenarios, and finally, a decision based on concrete data, but executed with absolute conviction and determination. It was like possessing an ultra-efficient mental operating system that consistently transformed raw information into effective strategic action in predictable and reliable ways. Third, optimized directed energy discipline. Pharaohs intuitively understood that mental energy is any true leader's most limited and precious resource. They developed specific, refined techniques for channeling their attention exclusively toward decisions that multiplied results exponentially. They systematically delegated everything that could be competently delegated and focused their mental energy only on what they alone could do with unique mastery. This created extraordinary efficiency and prevented the mental fatigue that destroys most leaders. Fourth, systematic and intentional legacy construction. Every action, every project, every decision was carefully evaluated, not just for immediate, visible results, but for the profound impact it would have on future generations. This long-term perspective naturally created wiser, more sustainable decisions that build compound value over time. When you integrate these four elements into your routine, something extraordinary happens. You develop that unshakable mental clarity that characterizes true leaders throughout history. Share this video if you recognize that true wealth lies in your mental discipline. Architecture.